Hello, travelers. We find ourselves at a beautiful paradise planet with floating sky islands and waterfalls and running water and having a nice scenic look at the whole place from a hilltop vantage. However, this is not where we're going to be spending most of our time. We are going to go to a very uh, obscure little base on a very boring planet. We are going to copy that base from our save file. We are going to import it back into the save file as another base, and I'll explain how all of that is done. So how that's done, and some very important things to uh, do before you do anything else is your game must be completely closed before any editing of the file occurs. So the steps for that I'll explain momentarily. I'm a Steam user, so I also shut down Steam to ensure that any cloud syncing of my game save is turned off. Uh, I back up my save folder, all of the save folder except for the cache, uh, all the save game files. And if you're following along in this video to do this, make sure to go back that stuff up right now. If you're running the game from GOG or a standalone variety, then make sure whatever automatic game save syncing you utilize is disabled. Okay, so what you'll do is you will go into your game save after it's been all backed up. You will create a new base somewhere on a flat planet, or if you plan to replicate your base, I'm going to call it replicate, not duplicate. But if you, for reasons I'll explain, but if you want to, if you have a base that hangs off the edge of a cliff and you want to replicate it to hang off the edge of a portal, great. Because then you won't end up with any terrain collisions or minimal ones that you can correct on the other side. However, if you were to take a flat base and put it on a mountainside like this, all hell would break loose. It would not be good for you. And actually worse is if you were to put it on uneven ground like this. You want a really flat spot. So I did not find a really flat spot in my 20-minute search that I spent finding a suitable location for my base, for the replicated base. And I'm calling it replicated instead of duplicated for a couple of reasons. One, let's define what an exported base is. So it's not anything to do with its universe data. So ownership is not exported and imported, and that's really the key thing. It's an exported base will replace an existing base that you already have. So that's why a step of creating just a bogus base computer at your target location is great. You'll name it something meaningful like test base, which you'll see me do in the forthcoming steps. And then, then you'll be ready to go through that process. So let's go ahead and head to my old base and check it out. Okay, so here we are at the Edcast Sele colony. It is one of the very original bases that I created back in the day when I started playing this on PC just a few short months ago. So I used to play on PS4 back in 2017 and 2018, but I moved to PC, so that's another story. So here's the base. is just in an existing, whatever these places are called, minor settlement, I guess, whatever. Um, I'll wait until it's daylight so we can see this a little better. Okay, it is daylight. So I chose this base not because I'm particularly fond of it, but because it's very, very simple. So it was the very first base that I created. Um, upon rejoining the game, you can see the address in the lower left there. But let's look around. So it's just a wooden building. It's got 5 batteries. It's got a storage unit. Very simple structure. It has a landing pad, and then it has solar generators. Oh, 2 more. Oh, no, never mind. These are bioreactors. Okay. We'll take a look inside in a moment. We have a comm station, or a message bubble, I should say, message station, and the base itself, base computer. We have a teleporter, and then some odds and ends in here, and wire suppression and all that. So, and a lamp. Okay, so what we'll want to make sure of is that this base is replicated when it comes over, and that all of its wiring works as advertised. All right, so let's pop in there and just remove that for a moment so you can see what wiring does exist. And just we've got a proximity sensor there to turn that on and off. And looks like that's about it here. I went way overkill with the batteries and the solar stuff because I didn't know. I thought, oh, I made a base, I can only have one, or I didn't really know at the time. But anyway, so that's what that is. So I probably shouldn't have changed a darn thing about this, but I did. I got rid of the suppressor. So, well, for fun, I'll put it back, just even though it won't. Now I've corrupted the results, but there, it was somewhere in there, I suppose. All right. So, okay, I found a relatively flat spot here on this bleak planet. Let's see what's going on with this planet. Yeah, so it's, basically a giant moon. Way too many rocks for my liking here, but no, again, this is just a test. So I think, even though it appears flat, here's a little flatter place-ish. Sure. So we'll put a base down right here. Because we can't test. Base. Import. All right, and the reason I renamed it is so we can go ahead and use this so we can find it in the save file. That should be it. Now I'm going to stand right here and save my game. Back up that file in case I screw it up, and then when I start the game again after I've imported the base, it creates a base slot in the save file that I can write over the top of. In theory, that's what I hear anyway. So let's see if it works, and yeah, catch you on the other side. All right, so we're out of the game. We've saved everything as described. And now we have to navigate to your No Man's Sky Gamesave folder. If you're on Steam, it will be in a location very similar to what you're seeing here on your C drive. Users your Windows username, app data, roaming, hello games, NMS, and then ST for Steam underscore and your Steam user ID. Okay, there's a ton of stuff on this page. I'm not going to read it all, but it is for you to screenshot or pause upon as needed. I will also make this entire screenshots document available to you via a link in the description or a pinned comment on the video. All right, so navigate to the Steam Gamesave files. You may need to expose hidden folders and files to be able to see the app data folder. I won't demonstrate that here, as this is not a Windows File Manager tutorial, nor is it a Notepad++ tutorial for that matter, nor a tutorial of Goat Fungus's NMS Gamesave editor. You'll have to educate yourself on those things on your own. If you use GOG or a standalone installation of the software, you'll need to track down where the game saves are located. Again, as I previously stated, it's crucial to back all this stuff up prior to editing anything. Don't bother backing up subfolders that you see in here. These HG files and PDFs, these are the important things. I recommend you zip them or create a 7-zip archive and store them on an external drive or perhaps your Google Drive. All right, next you will need the NMS Gamesave Editor by Goat Fungus. You can get that on GitHub. I'll probably put a link to that somewhere, either in the document you're looking at now or again in the comments of the YouTube video. Anyway, download the tool and unzip it to any folder you wish. I have a practice of placing applications that don't need to be installed on a secondary drive in an apps folder, but you do you. Your folder should look like this, more or less. I've created a new folder. I think exported bases and backups were all here, or the first time I had the software create a backup, the backup folder generated. I don't remember, but anyway, in order to run this tool, double-click this BAT file. BAT stands for batch in the old days, and the application is smart enough to search for your Gamesaves folder. So once you run it, it should prompt you. It found mine, and as I recall, all I had to do was confirm the location, and henceforward the tool did not ask again for the folder's location. And final warning, this backups folder will not be populated by anything we do today. So this would be the location that if you edit a Gamesave file in the editor, it very nicely creates a backup for you, but we are not editing the game file directly in this tool. We're exporting the game file, we'll edit that text file, and then we'll import it back to the game file, effectively replacing the entire game file with the thing that we edit. So none of that will trigger a backup procedure by Goat Fungus's tool. So definitely you'll want to back that up manually. That's the last time I'm going to mention that. Upon launching the batch file, you'll see a Windows command window open, and that's okay. Don't worry about the mapping, name mapping not found stuff or similar things. None of that matters for what we are doing. I suspect it simply means that NMS Gamesave topology has changed since Goat Fungus last updated his software. So there's stuff in the file his app doesn't understand, but this won't hurt us for what we're doing today. And then you'll want to click this tool window to bring it into focus. And now the window is in focus, so we just need to choose our game slot. It'll be the same slot that you see at your Gamesave selection screen in-game. It's the one you want to edit, whatever that one is. The save file value will also populate automatically based on the slot number. You could change it, don't though, unless you really know what you're doing. That's really for restoring prior versions and perhaps reassociating things, but don't do anything with that. All right. And don't muck about with any of these other options here up in the purple highlighting. We'll instead focus on importing a base, which is our purpose here. Okay, so the next step is to export the game save as a JSON file. So just go to Edit, Export JSON, and wherever it saves, note that location. You could move it, you could save it elsewhere, whatever. But that is the file we're going to use. I'm not going to show you importing it again. Just note it's on this same page. So after we edit it, we will import it back to the game save here. And that implies that you go back into the tool, load up the same game save file again, and then import to that file. All right, as I mentioned, we are almost done looking at screenshots. We're going to get into the live demo of this in just a moment, but I want to walk you through these screenshots a little bit more because they'll help you understand what you will see in the live demo. So again, I'll make them available to you. So once you right-click on the JSON file and open it, you will start to see some things. We'll do that in real time. But here we see the base that we added early in the live demo, where I laid down that base computer, and I've searched for it in the JSON file, and then I've searched up and found the objects procedure. I suggest a robust editor like Notepad++, which understands JSON and will show you pretty colors, and it's free. I've used it for decades, so technically you could use Notepad, but it might choke on the file size, and it surely would not be as pretty. Also, Notepad++ has better search options like Find All in File, which you'll need and which I will show you in the live demo. So in this case, I've searched for my new base, which you would do too, and here is mine. Counterintuitively, we see this bases object physically above the name of the base in the file. I wasted a lot of time looking below what I was devising this ago. So one can click any of these results and be whisked away to them in this editor up here. So it's highly useful. And then you can hop back and forth as you need to. So as we see, I looked for my original base, which is one of these two entries. And I'll describe how to figure out which one that is. And then we also see the the new base, test base, and a couple of entries there, and we can hop around and click on them, and we will. Okay. And here I've simply gone all the way up farther in the file so we can see the object procedures beginnings. And again, this is the pasted version of the source bases objects, the guts of that base, right? And we see that it begins on 538.206, line 538.206 in the file, and we saw up here it ends at 539.667. So what is that? 1,000? I guess 1,000 lines, whatever. You do the math. All right, so that is it for the slideshow. Let's punch these files open and see what we're dealing with. Okay, so we have opened the file in Notepad++, the JSON file. Note the name of it is redacted. I went through and edited out my Steam user ID and stuff like that, so I replaced it with asterisks. But aside from that, this is the same. So you won't be redacting out anything, because if you do, you will brick your save. But this is just for this demonstration. All right, so I have search strings in here. I have the new base and the original base name, and then a note about if you get different entries, choose one that looks like that. All right, so let's go find my original base. And I wouldn't really have to use the quotes here, but I am. And then we'll go to the file. We'll do search. And I think I said earlier find in files, but that would mean multiple files. So what we want is find, and then paste this value in. And then we'll do find all in current document. All right, it found 2 entries. And so let's click the first one. Name base type. Name base type. So this is the entry we want. Let's look at the other entry and see what that one is. And what this one is simply the teleporter entry for this. So when I click on my teleporter, this is an entry in my teleporter. Don't care for this. All right, so we'll go back up to this one. Double clicking on the top entry in the search results window. As I think I described in the last stills version of this. All right, and here we are. And as we know, if we go up from this, here, let me zoom in a little bit, make it easier in the video. If we proceed upward in the file from this name to the point of this RID label, we know that above it is the last line of the object's procedure. So I've clicked here, it's blinking, so now I'm not going to touch anything, I'm just going to scroll. Except I am going to shrink it to make my scrolling easier, and I'm going to scroll up roughly 1,000 lines to get to the beginning of this procedure. Now what I could do is, there are other ways to do this, but let's just scroll for now. Okay, and we've arrived at line 444434, which is the beginning of the objects section. So now I am going to hold down my left shift. I'm going to click, and now everything between my cursor and where my cursor was before should be highlighted. I'm actually going to copy it right now before I double check anything. I'm going to create a new Notepad++ file, and I'm going to paste it in there. And then I can see the bottom already at 1,462 total lines. It's a right bracket and a comma, so I know I got it correctly. All right, so I can go down, but I'm really not caring. Yeah, it's so vast, I've already lost it, but I don't care. All right, so let's just, for best practice, let's go to the top of the file again, click up there, don't do anything, just click there or click anywhere up in this neighborhood. And now we are going to search for our target base, and our target base is this one. Yours might be a different name, that's fine. We'll go back to this file, and we are going to, I guess I already searched for this probably before I started recording. Great, so let's explode that out, pretend I just searched for it again, did find all in document, and I'm sure it's not the summary, it's probably this one, and it is. Name base type, let me zoom in. Okay, this other one, by the way, within test base, that's probably the save saying when the, yeah, it says summary of the save. So when we begin the game, I'm within this base. That's where I saved. There's other stuff you can probably guess what this stuff is, but whatever. Okay, this save, I'm in relaxed mode, but whatever. That's not what this video is about. All right, so I double clicked on the bottom one again. Now here we see that above the RID section, and again, this is our target base, the objects procedure is not 1400 long, it is this many long. That's okay, right? So all we need to do is highlight that and go to our, it's still in my clipboard, but I'm going to go to this new file that I created, and I'm going to select it all. I'm going to copy it. I'm going to go back into the file, and I'm just going to right-click any of the highlighted area and say paste. And presto changeo, we have a populated base that's identical to this Edcast Sele colony. That was something the game had named that base when I originally made it. But anyway, that's it. So then we just save the file and re-import it using Goat Fungus's tool. And let's, I'll do that off screen, and then we will go and visit this base and see what happened. Okay, I've just teleported into the duplicated base on another planet. And I'll explain the topography here. So yeah, this is the exact same base plopped down on another planet. And why is the ground, why did everything sink into the ground? Well, it's not mushy regolith, but it is not a level location. So what I did was I chose a planet that, and by the way, I'll explain the choosing of a planet and how all this works, so bear with me. But anyway, I chose a relatively flat spot on this random planet in another system because I was tired of looking for a planet with absolutely flat ground. I should have just picked some desert planet somewhere, but yeah, I spent about 20 minutes looking for a spot and wanted to move on with my life. So let's take a quick peek. We'll go ahead and show you the, here we go. This is also in Euclid. The address is in the lower left. And so let's take a look here. So the same base, the same storage container offset as it was the original. We've got the original 5 batteries there. We have the solar generators, 4 of them there. And we have a couple of biofuel reactors. All right. Oh, and then I later added a message beacon and a save beacon, but these were not part of the original base. That was just to help you if you visit this system to locate it easily. If my base doesn't show up, the beacon hopefully will. Anyway, oh, and we also see that the landing pad made it along for the ride. There it is. All right, so yeah, so the placement of the XYZ relationship of every object in this base, and that means everything, the walls, the generators, the batteries, all of that are based on the location of the base computer itself and the orientation of the base computer. So in the file will be, a wooden wall at XYZ location, and that is relative to basically a 0 point position of this base computer. Um, just any three-dimensional coordinate system uses a base point. And indeed, in our case, the base computer is the base point. So if I had set this base computer down over here, the entire base objects would have spawned around that there. Okay. What I did was I found a place to build this base, and that place was here. And then I placed a temporary base computer there, test base, which you saw in the video just prior to this going through the file. And then I searched for that in the file, as we saw, and in its related section, I added all the details of this base, and that's how it got here. Right? And then we saved that file. We re-imported it using the NMS save editor from Goat Fungus, and voila, we have an exactly replicated base. Now, how can we avoid this terrible groundskeeping? Well, anyone who's done any base building at all knows that any cleanup with the terrain manipulator will be temporary. All of that stuff will spawn back again over time. So that's not the solution. What needs to be done is a clever use of which base is exported and or decision making, I should say, and which target location it goes to. So I would have had more success in this, and this was just a test, so I knew this would happen. But if you really want to be successful, pick a flat spot. If you want to be more successful than that, looks like I have to dig down here too. Nope, I guess I don't. Anyway, if you want to be more successful than that, pick one of your bases that you have hanging off of a cliff, or hanging over water or in water, or something where the base computer is the point. Maybe it would extend over the edge somewhere. So I would look like at the original base. I would come up to it and say, okay, I know that the little screen here, if I stand in front of it and look forward, is the corner of this building. And so that's what's going to happen when I place it again. And then you can sort of take a step back and say, well, in this new location on a Paradise Planet's hilltop, if I put the base computer on this hill over here, this thing will spawn over there. All right, so it's pretty obvious stuff once it's framed that way. But I hope you have enjoyed this video, and if you have, give it a like and subscribe. This is just a first thing. This is not a monetary endeavor on my part. It's just something kind of fun for the community. Place where we can sort of vet certain theories or whatever about how things work in the game, and just have a good old time doing it. So take care, and I'll see you later.